Hello, church. Here I am sitting in my bedroom, trying to adjust to all of this. That's one thing I hear from a lot of people that a lot of us are trying to do. We're trying to adjust to having kids at home, to working from home, to cooking all of our meals, to trying to figure out how to live in the same house with everybody all the time. There's a lot of adjustment going on. And when I stop and when I think about it, I'm actually doing pretty well with that. I get to cook a whole lot more, which is one of my great loves, lots of Mexican food. I get to take a lot more responsibility for the house, for which my wife is very grateful. I get to have great, awesome dance parties with my kids, which is a whole lot of fun. And with work, I actually get to be really creative and productive with my work in very different ways than I normally would. I'm surprised. I'm actually adjusting very well. That is, until I stop. Until I realize that even though I'm not in the office, even though my workload is flexible, even though I get to spend more time with my family, I find that when I stop, the jitters, the stress, the bottom level anxiety, the fear of time with just myself, the desire to escape all the feelings inside, all of that is still there. I'm not running anywhere because I'm stuck inside, but I think I'm still running. Even though I've been given this invitation to retreat, to spend some time in quiet and solitude, I find I'm still restless, afraid of what the future holds in a COVID-19 world. Yes, but also afraid of the things I've always been afraid of. Not just the storm outside, the one I can't really ignore, but also the one inside, the one I've trained to ignore by using busyness, achievement, performance, likes, social media, overconnectivity, all these things to ignore that storm that sits at the bottom of my heart, always sort of there, always being ignored or covered up by something I'm doing or trying to achieve. Here in the midst of isolation, of this impromptu invitation to solitude and retreat with God, I find I am still running from that storm inside. And as I'm here longer, it's getting harder and harder to run because my escapes keep getting closed off by stay-at-home orders and things like that. And just when I think the storm is too much, that's when I notice. I turn and I see in the boat with me, Jesus is sleeping. I've been over here working as much as I can, rowing against these gigantic waves, trying to pay enough attention to my wife and kids, doing dishes, scalping my lawn, designing new initiatives, just trying to stay away from the storm inside. And Jesus is right here, sleeping in my boat, right through the middle of the storm. And I hear the disciples saying, "Wake up, Jesus, don't you care that we are perishing? Care not ye that we are perishing? What do we even do about this? Wake up, Jesus, it's too much." Just like me, though, they didn't know who it was who was asleep in their boat in the middle of the storm. Yeah, they knew Jesus. They knew the person Jesus in many ways more than we ever could. And yet, just like me, and maybe just like you, they didn't trust that Jesus the way that he was worthy of being trusted. They didn't know all of who he was and what it meant that he, the Lord of the wind and the waves, slept in their boat in the midst of all of that. See, just like me, and maybe just like you, the disciples saw the storm. They saw the potential drowning and tried to paddle themselves out of it. When all they had to do was trust that they had Jesus in the boat with them. That as long as Jesus was in the boat, the waves were not the ones in control. And maybe I wonder what it would have looked like if they just laid down and slept in the same boat as Jesus. Today, as I sit in my room and record this Devo, as I go about my work, as I cook dinner for my family, as I have another dance party with my kids, hopefully I will strive to have ears to hear what Christ is saying. Peace, be still. This is another storm. And it may be a dark one we're not out of for a while. We may be out in a week, maybe out in 2 months. We have no idea. But we are not here in this boat alone. What would it look like to live in this solitude, this boat, in the middle of the storm out there and the storm within, and find the peace of Christ and hear the Christ who abides in us say, "Peace, be still." As we go about our days, may we go in peace.